How do you know if you're even physically fit enough to be considered average? Well, if you're old enough to get the senior discount, then I'm going to show you in the first half of this video 6 tests that are used to determine your current level of physical fitness as a senior. And then in the second half of this video, I'm going to show you 6 more that if you can achieve these, when you can achieve these, you're going to know that not only are you physically fit, but you're athletic enough to enjoy all of the physical activities, the enjoyable physical activities that life has to offer. Stay tuned. Okay, well, so for a little bit of background, you can find all of these tests and their measurements all on the National Library of Medicine's website, PubMed. Just look up Senior Fitness Test, National Library of Medicine, and you're going to find the test. You're going to find where they did a study using these tests on some people from 60 to 70 and then from 70 to 80 to show the differences in what happened with those people. So let's start with the first test. First test is called the back scratch test. And this is very simple, measures the flexibility of your shoulders and chest. And we start off by taking one hand, left hand or right hand, doesn't matter which one, putting it behind your back, kind of like somebody's trying to manhandle you as far up your back as you can go. Then take your other hand and reach over your shoulder like so. And then have someone measure the distance between the tips of your fingers, or even if they overlap, how far they overlap. That's test number 1. Pretty simple. So the next test is called the chair sit and reach. To do this one, you sit on the edge of a chair, one leg bent, the other leg extended out straight with the knee straight, and your heel on the floor. And then the idea is to reach for your toes and to measure how far from your toes are your fingers, or how far past your toes are your fingers. And that's another measure of flexibility. So it's just reaching out at that extended leg, and you do it on both sides just to check both of them, because you're going to be better at one side than the other. Chair sit and reach. Okay, the next test on the list is called the 8-foot up and go. Basics of the tests are: you start in a position sitting in a chair like this, you have an object 8 feet away from you, which is that dumbbell over there in this case, or a pylon, whatever you want to put out there. And it's a time test, and the object is to see how fast you can get up from the chair, walk around the object, and return to the chair. The results of the test are your time, however long it takes. So basically, out of the chair, around the object, back to the chair, sit back down. How long does that take? That's the test. Okay, so the next one's really simple. It's called the chair stand-up. Basically, it's another timed and count exercise. It's 30 seconds long, and you start seated in a chair, just like this, and it's just how many times can you stand up completely and go back down to the chair in 30 seconds. You're basically doing chair squats for 30 seconds. So how many can you do? Chair stand up. Okay, so number 5, it's called an arm curl. The test is that you take your dominant arm, whether it's right or left, and you curl an 8-pound dumbbell if you're a man, 5-pound if you're a woman, as many times as you can in 30 seconds, just like this. If you don't have a dumbbell, you can use a jug of water, because a gallon of water is just a little over 8 pounds. So, and if you're a woman, you can have a little less than a gallon in there. But an 8-pound or a 5-pound dumbbell, as many times as you can in 30 seconds, just like this. And the number of reps that you accomplish is the score for this one. Okay, so the last one is the 2-minute step test. It's an alternative to a 6-minute walk test, but this is a little bit more measurable for you. So in 2 minutes, it is the number of times that you can take a step, and a step being measured in raising your leg to the halfway point between your hip and where your knee is when it's down. So basically, it looks like this. For 2 minutes, just how many of these steps can you do in 2 minutes? So set the timer, start counting, and start walking in place for 2 minutes. So you can see that those are relatively easy tests to pass. And I don't know if passing them is even really the right word, but they're relatively easy tests for you to get a measurement and see where you're starting if you're just getting started. But I believe that our training, the reason we should get involved in fitness is not to just be able to pass a test, but it's to get better at life, to be able to participate in all the things that life has to offer. And as we age, that gets more and more difficult, especially if we don't do any training. Another important part of your training is that you've got to have goals. So you've got to have something that's out there in the future that you're attempting to accomplish in order to give you the juice that it takes and give you the reason to continue to train. Because if you don't have a reason, it's really easy to just go binge watch Netflix, drink a beer, and forget about it. So, but if you've got a reason out there, a compelling reason, then that'll help you get through the parts where it's difficult and you don't really want to do it, but you do it anyway. For me, my compelling reason this year is that I'm going to compete in June. Right now it's January. I'm going to compete in June in a Spartan race, an obstacle course race in Bozeman, Montana. And my goal is there's 3 races that weekend, a 15 mile, a 10 mile, and a 5 mile essentially. And I want to do all 3 of those races in one weekend and complete them in a better time than the last time I ran those races. So it's an achievable goal, it's a measurable goal, and it has a time frame on it. I have to do it, I'm ready to do it right at the beginning of June, and I know where I'm going to do it. So those kinds of goals are one way to give yourself the reason, the energy, the juice to do what it takes even when it's difficult. So now let's look at 6 other measures of fitness, of athleticism, that are ways that you can determine just how ready you are to take on an athletic event of some kind, or just to take on more athletic events, more athletic activities in your daily life. These are all things that are difficult to do, but with continued effort and continued training and continued practice, you can gradually, progressively improve to the point where you can do all of these things. If I can do them at 64 years old, there's a pretty good chance you can do them as well. So being athletic involves strength, flexibility, balance, endurance, and agility. So we're going to look at things that test all of those aspects of your fitness, and let's start with strength. We've got a couple of basic strength ones, and the first one's going to be a deadlift. There's a lot of different ways you could look at measuring this, what's good and what's effective. For my purposes, I want to say if you can deadlift your body weight, then you're probably going to be strong enough to participate in a lot of activities. So again, it's not something you necessarily are going to start with. If you're just getting started, you start with what you're capable of doing without injury and work your way up. So this is about 185 here on the bar, and that's about within 5 pounds of what I weigh. And it's just basically just doing a deadlift. If you can do that, especially if you can do it for repetitions, you probably have adequate strength to participate in a lot of sports-like activities. So there's a lot of sports-type activities, physical activities that involve being able to push. So there's a number of ways we could measure this one, but here's a fairly difficult way, and that's basically a handstand push-up. So again, all of these things are something you can work up to. You can start off by doing just regular push-ups, gradually incline your feet and work your way up until you're inverted, and then if you can do a push-up this way, then you're probably strong enough to do a lot of physical activities that involve pushing. So here's another one that tests your back strength, your grip strength, and tenacity a little bit. It's just hanging from something with one arm and having the strength to pull yourself up to the other arm and then switch. If you can do that, you can play on the monkey bars. Another basic staple of athletic ability is the ability to jump. The ability to jump helps determine your ability to participate in things where you have to change directions quickly, and just plain jump. It's your explosive strength from a standing position. So easy way to test that, find yourself a platform of some kind, and this is another one of those deals where you can increase the level of difficulty and get better at it by adding to the platform, making it higher. Basically stand flat-footed. You could do a little bit of momentum by stepping forward and then jumping, but standing flat-footed, squat down and just jump, and that's it. Simple, just a jump test. See what you can do there. One of the places we really get stiff and inflexible as we age is in our hamstrings and in our hips. So a great way to measure your progress in the flexibility in that area is to try and do the splits. So there's some great stretching videos. If you go back through some of my other videos, you'll see some great stretching videos. You want to get warmed up before you try to do very much, or you're just not going to be very effective. So once your muscles are warmed up, start with your legs spread apart where it's just comfortable. And then if you lean towards each leg for a matter of about a 10 count and then go a little bit farther, that stretches out your hamstrings, stretches out your glutes, opens up your hips, stretches out your inner thighs. And as you want to progress with that, you want to see how far you can go, put one hand behind you, one hand in front of you, spread your legs out, scoot your butt forward, and just keep doing repeat that same cycle. Stretch over here, and then again, move yourself forward a little bit more until eventually you'll be able to do a complete set of the splits. And that'll enable you to do a lot of things. If you're into martial arts, it allows you to do a much higher kick than you would be able to do otherwise. So do the splits. So number 6 is your cardiovascular fitness. And it's a little harder to give you a whole bunch there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but a simple one is to go for a run. And a good target would be 3 miles at least a 10 or 11 minute per mile pace. You get it down to 8 to 9, you're going to be running marathons. So measure your cardiovascular fitness as well. Okay, so I said I'd give you 6, but this one's a bonus. This is number 7. And this is just something that you can do that incorporates your balance, your agility, your flexibility, and it can be a cardio exercise as well. Now, I have this lovely Bob XL guy who loves to get his butt kicked, but you don't have to have one of these. You can do this up against a wall, up against a tree, a fence post, whatever you got. You just need a target. And height is important. The more flexible, the more agile you get, the higher the object can be. But basically it's just a simple martial arts move. It's done in karate, done in taekwondo, done in most martial arts that involve kicking and punching. Assume a fighting stance, and it's just a spinning back kick where you spin around and kick. Spin around, kick. I'm gonna do it really slow because I missed the first time. Spin around, kick. It's hard to do slow without losing your balance. So, as you can see, it incorporates balance, agility, mind-body connection, a lot of things here. And once again, just like that. Spin around, spin around. It starts with you pretty much sideways from your target. If you're like this, you're not going to probably be successful. So sideways to your target, spin, aim, kick. It's a great exercise, a great thing you can practice to help you with your coordination and connecting your mind to your body, knowing where your feet are, knowing where your legs are, knowing where your whole body is in space. So what you can see from all of that is there's a vast difference between how we test the physical fitness of the typical older person versus how we would determine the physical fitness level of someone who considers themselves athletic. So the big takeaway I want you to get from this video is that you have the ability, we all have the ability to enjoy a much more robust, a much more engaged and active lifestyle as we get older, simply by keeping ourselves in good shape or getting ourselves in good shape if we're not in good shape already. And there's going to be a lot of days when there's probably going to be more days that you don't want to do that if you embark on a physical fitness journey, because it's difficult, it's a challenge. You know, the whole point of it is you're working your body to do something that it isn't previously capable of doing. So it's a challenge. So there's going to be a lot of days when you just say, you know what, I'd rather sit here and watch Netflix or drink a beer or whatever. I'm just not going to do it. So to get past all of that, you've got to have a compelling reason. And that can be your ability to play with your grandkids, your ability to engage in some sporting activity that you will enjoy, or any number of things, but you've just got to have a compelling reason, and it helps to have a goal that has a date on it and then it's measurable and it's achievable. It helps to have all of those things. And if you don't have a goal, if you can't think of any other reason, then just think about this for a minute. You're going to live the last 10 years of your life no matter what you do, whether you embark on a fitness journey or not. How do you want to live those last 10 years? Do you want to be the guy who's being measured by how many times he can get in and out of a chair? Or do you want to be the guy who's running through the woods, jumping from tree to tree? It's a choice. It's a choice. My father is in his 80s now, and he got sick about 6 months ago and stopped moving around a lot. He was kind of bedridden for a little bit, kind of had a case of the COVID. And 8 months later, he has lost all strength just from inactivity. And now he's struggling just to get in and out of a chair. I mean, before the action, he was able to drive a car and pretty much be on his own. Now he's struggling to get in and out of a chair. In fact, he fell on the ground, and I had to go over at 2 o'clock in the morning and help him get up because he couldn't get up. His shoulders are damaged, and so he doesn't have any arm strength. So he wasn't able to get off the floor just because he doesn't have enough strength, doesn't have enough flexibility, and it's a huge problem for older people. Think about how you want to spend those last 10 years of your life and set yourself some goals to live a better last 10 years of your life. If you got value from this video, please like, subscribe, share it with somebody, even better. And as always, thank you for watching.